cut that bitch. I'ma go dash that bitch. Shawty gon' suck this dick. Shawty gon' suck this dick.
Alright, so over this off season, I'm probably just gonna make videos like this, where I just jump out onto whatever reports or rumors about the NBA or NBA potential trades come out. I'm just gonna make a video like this about them. And this one is about the report that apparently the Pistons want to trade up for Lamelo Ball. There's been a lot of conflicting reports about Lamelo Ball. I saw one that said that his draft stock might be a bit lower because of some draft interviews that didn't really go in his favor. They didn't really like his attitude. And then we hear this one where the Pistons are likely trying to trade up for him. So those are kind of conflicting, but let's kind of dive into how I think a trade would happen. We have to kind of project how the top three will go. Most reports say that Lamelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and James Wiseman will make up the top three in some way or the other. So if you look at some hypothetical ways where these three prospects could go, we can look at one where Anthony Edwards goes number 1 to the Timberwolves, Wiseman goes to number 2 to the Golden State Warriors, and then at number 3, would the Hornets want to trade down to really get Onyeka Okongwu to be their center for the future? They can trade down and get Onyeka Okongwu at a lower pick, or would they just draft Lamelo Ball, which would kind of ruin the Pistons' chances if that was the case. Another hypothetical would be if the Timberwolves really like Lamelo Ball in their interviews and in their workouts with him, what if they just take Lamelo Ball number 1? I think that would kind of ruin the Pistons' chances at getting him because I don't think they have enough really to trade up to the number 1 pick. And then another hypothetical would be if Edwards goes number 1 and LaMelo goes number 2. I'm pretty sure the Golden State Warriors would really be open to trading LaMelo Ball for a lower pick and then some veteran help that can help the Warriors right away in their quest for a championship. So after looking at those hypotheticals, let's dive into some potential trades. So for the first team, let's look at trades with Charlotte. If LaMelo Ball fell to number 3, Detroit Pistons receive the number 3 pick, and Charlotte receives the number 7 pick, Detroit's 2021 top 5 protected pick. This is probably the most boring trade in the potential trades that we're going to review. It's boring, yes, but honestly, this could happen if Wiseman is off the board and the Hornets are able to get Onyeka Okongwu to be their future center at number 7, like I alluded to. The next team to look at trades for would be the Golden State Warriors. A trade here would be Detroit receiving the number 2 pick, Michael Mulder, Kai Bowman, the Juan Toscano-Anderson dude, and Damian Lee, while the Golden State Warriors receive the number 7 pick and Derrick Rose. Now this is a trade that doesn't just involve future draft picks, it involves a player that the Warriors are getting. They're getting Derrick Rose, who's been balling out over the past 2 years, really restoring his value on the open market. This trade really fills out the Warriors' depth. Derrick Rose could be a great 6th man for the Warriors to have. And not only that, they're still going to have a quality draft pick in a deep draft, so they can still get a quality player to contribute to this team right away. Maybe Onyeka Okongwu is available at 7 for them. Maybe Denny Avdija is available. Obi Toppin, Patrick Williams. These are the type of players that are going to be available around this number 7 pick. So in this trade, the Pistons get their number 2 pick. They get LaMelo Ball, and the Golden State Warriors get a quality 6th man, one of the best 6th men in the league, possibly. And they'd still have a quality pick to really get somebody that can contribute on their bench unit right away. I have to include all those Warriors players because I have to make up the $7 million that Derrick Rose is making. Here's another trade that the Minnesota Timberwolves can make. This is probably my most interesting potential trade. The Detroit Pistons receive the number 1 pick. The Minnesota Timberwolves receive the number 7 pick and Victor Oladipo. So obviously there's a third team involved in here, and it's the Indiana Pacers. And the Indiana Pacers receive James Johnson, Jared Culver, Derrick Rose, Minnesota 2023 lottery protected 1st round pick. Now this is a bit more of a wild trade where Minnesota really walks out of here as the winners. They get Victor Oladipo and they still retain a valuable pick. The Detroit Pistons get the number 1 pick if they really want to trade for LaMelo Ball up there. And Indiana receives kind of a young player who was not very promising in his rookie year in Jared Culver. They get Derrick Rose, who can come in and provide value instantly. Starting at point guard, you move Brogdon back to the shooting guard. And they get a future 1st round pick for Victor Oladipo, who's kind of really devalued himself after that report came out that he was advertising himself to other teams asking if he could play for them in front of his teammates. Like, what kind of team is going to want him? But this is a good trade for Indiana. They get some value for VO, who's eventually going to walk out of there. On Minnesota's end of it, they get a defender to really help Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, especially helping D'Angelo Russell in the backcourt. And like I said, they don't entirely lose out on a top 10 selection. Victor Oladipo could be a one-year rental. You could see if he's a good fit on your team in that starting lineup. There's not a lot of opportunity costs here in terms of this particular trade for Victor Oladipo. And Indiana gets a young lottery pick in their second year and a future first-round pick for their disgruntled star. So those are just some potential trades that I think could happen. I mean, they're probably not going to happen, you know. It's hard for YouTubers to really get this thing right. But those are just some fun trades that I think are realistic. But now let's kind of look at LaMelo's fit on the Pistons if he eventually ends up in Detroit. If they're able to get LaMelo, you got to give him the keys. He's got to be running the offense. Detroit is in desperate need of a playmaking point guard, and Lamelo Ball is exactly that. Somebody who is a high-level facilitator, and he's going to have a lot of shooters around him. Svi Mykhailiuk and Luke Kennard are snipers on the wing. Blake Griffin and Christian Woods are bigs that you cannot leave open on the perimeter, so it's going to make offense kind of easy for LaMelo Ball. And if they're able to trade up for LaMelo Ball and keep Derrick Rose would be a great mentor for LaMelo Ball. He is a fellow former top pick with heavy expectations coming into the league, just like LaMelo Ball. Well, LaMelo Ball's expectations might not be high, but there's a lot of hype surrounding LaMelo Ball ever since he was, 13 years old? And then he's coming into a situation where Dwayne Casey is his head coach, a very experienced head coach who's been around, who's been successful in this league, a former coach of the year. It's better to come in and play for a coach who's experienced like Dwayne Casey instead of playing for a coach who's basically a novice or new to the NBA. In my opinion, the Detroit Pistons is one of the best fits for LaMelo Ball. Good experienced coaching, surrounded by shooting, and solid veterans to come in and play with in Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. LaMelo will really help the team offensively. He's somebody that can come in and run an offense, set people up, and he can create his own shot at times. Everything that Detroit needs. They were horrible offensively last year, but he's not going to be able to come in and affect them positively on the defensive end. Defense will be an issue. Description of LaMelo Ball on defense is he doesn't really have a high motor on defense. He's not motivated to play defense. The question is, can Dwayne Casey motivate him on that end? There's really no defensive mentors on this team like a Robert Covington or an Andre Iguodala or a Patrick Beverley that can really mentor him on the defensive end. So it's really going to come down to, can the veterans hold him accountable in terms of making sure he keeps that effort on that side of the ball. It's going to be really interesting to see if they do draft him a backcourt of LaMelo Ball and Luke Kennard on the defensive end. That's probably going to be the worst that's going to be the worst backcourt defense of all time. I'm calling it right now. Even though LaMelo Ball is presumably a top 3 prospect in this draft, he's not somebody who's really going to save the Pistons by himself. Even though he does have all-star / superstar potential, and I think he has the highest ceiling in this draft, I don't think he's really going to come in and carry the Pistons right away. The amount of success LaMelo Ball has on the Pistons team, and the amount of success he has in the league, and the amount of success that the Pistons team has, if they draft LaMelo Ball, is really going to depend on them being able to hit on draft picks in the future, not just this one, because it looks like they're going to be in the lottery for years to come. They have to continue to make savvy moves outside of drafting, savvy moves like signing Christian Wood, who's really a diamond in the rough for them. They're really never going to be a free agency destination, which makes moves like signing Christian Wood, moves like that, makes those more important. They're going to have to develop a young core, because when was the last time that the Detroit Pistons had a young core of players that was ascending together, that had promise? It's been a long time. I don't think they've really ever had that in the past 10 years. So to conclude, LaMelo Ball won't be the savior of the Pistons, but he can be the face of a well-built team that will take them out of NBA purgatory in the future.